tell us what is going on in Delaware and what they're saying in the campaign. Then I want to kind of go state by state if we could.
Okay, so they, the Biden campaign feels really good. They believe they're going to win Pennsylvania. They believe they're going to win Arizona. They believe they're going to win Nevada. They think they have a decent shot at Georgia. They really want to have it called tonight, have, Biden and Harris be able to walk on stage tonight and declare themselves the victor. But Pennsylvania may not be, Pennsylvania just may not be done in time. If they get, I'm sure everybody watching is up on the different paths. They have a ton of paths. Pennsylvania is the easiest and the most likely to, he needs a combination of Arizona and Nevada, or Nevada and Georgia, or Arizona and Georgia, but Pennsylvania on its own. So obviously they would love to have it locked down today. They're not concerned about the outcome being in doubt, but it's just the longer it goes, the more mischief the Trump side can cause.
Yeah.
So it's like managing that. So I think it's, it's scary because you just want to know, right? You just want to have it be nailed down, but they're definitely confident that that's the direction all of these states are going in.
So how come the Biden campaign is so confident when everyone else is watching this, Jen, and on pens and needles, and they're seeing the vote counts kind of go up and down? I know you addressed that on Twitter earlier when you talked about some of the things that the head of the campaign was saying. Help us understand how these tallies keep kind of going back and forth.
Right. So first of all, why is the campaign confident? Because they're not just relying on the results that are coming in. They have their own metrics, right? So the campaign is very sophisticated and has been tracking votes all along, right? They know what the universe of ballots that, particularly the states that are counting mail-in, they know the universe of the ballots that went out. They know that how many came in. They know the areas where they're from. In some cases, they're able to track, because they've been keeping in touch with voters directly, track individual votes. So they have a very good sense. The analytics, it's the department and the campaign is called as analytics, right? So that's just in the last 12 years, that's just gotten a lot more sophisticated to be doing your own research and not just, so you have a better expectation of what's coming in on the vote count than we would. So that's one thing. And then the reason why, it just depends on which county reports when, right? So the problem for Democrats is that Democratic counties tend to be more urban, which means they're bigger, which means there's more votes. So that takes longer. So Philadelphia, for example, takes longer to count than some of the rural counties in Pennsylvania, which are smaller and more likely to be Trump. What's happening, and the reason what Katie, what you were referring to about my tweet, was when the Biden campaign, Jen O'Malley Dillon, the campaign manager, did a press call earlier. She said she used this term that sort of triggered a little PTSD for me, because it's a very specific term in politics that I had not heard for 4 years, which is bounce, which she said, we expect to see some bounce in the results in Nevada and Arizona. That means that they expect that, she said, we think, I listen very carefully to the specific words Jen says. Jen says, we believe that we will win Nevada. Not we believe, she said, we will win Nevada. We believe we will win Arizona, right? That's slightly less confidence. And Georgia is a toss-up, and she said, we will win Pennsylvania. But when she says that she expects to see bounce in Nevada and Arizona, I asked afterwards, does that mean you expect that there'll be times in the day when the count comes in Nevada, a more rural county, Washoe County, for example, which is more rural than Clark County, which is where Las Vegas is, you may see Trump pull ahead in Nevada, or you may see Trump pull ahead in Arizona, depending on if a more rural county is reporting as opposed to Pima County, which is where, that's a county in Arizona that is more heavily Democratic. And so there could be times in the day where Trump looks like he's ahead in either one or both of those states, and they just want people to brace for that, right? And all this stuff does, it seems dumb, but it does matter because Trump's trying to take whatever advantage he can to make it seem as if things are uncertain here. That's why it matters.
Hey, Jen, I was going to ask you about Allegheny County in Pennsylvania, where there are a lot of votes and the county has been temporarily suspended. I
Yep.
understand there are enough votes that could make a big difference. We're talking about the Pittsburgh area, which may
Mm-hmm.
be more tilted towards Biden, one of those sort of more urban areas. What's going on there?
So yeah, Allegheny County is Pittsburgh. Allegheny County is Pittsburgh. Philadelphia County is Philadelphia. Those are the two big counties that will perform significantly for Biden. The there it's actually, and honestly, Katie, it's been like the reporting on this has been a little confusing, but there was a lawsuit. The Trump campaign filed a lawsuit to allow for more people to watch, more observers to watch the count. That was the initial ruling, and the initial court was they approved that. And then the Democrats filed an appeal to put a stay in that. What it means is that and because of that, there was reporting, and I'm not sure what exactly happened. There was reporting that both counting in Allegheny County and counting in Philadelphia County is suspended. My understanding is that at least in Philadelphia County, it started again. But I think, what the Trump campaign is trying to do is file lawsuits that gives them either puts a pause on the counts or, just anything that draws it out as they try to figure out what possible legal options they could have. You may ask, well, why would the Democrats why would Democrats argue in court that there shouldn't be more observers, particularly when, in this case, it seems like it resulted in the count stopping, which seems to be against Democrats' interests, right? But I think Democrats just want to limit the potential to have chaos at these vote counting centers, right? They don't want to have a Brooks Brothers riot like we had in Florida in 2000 when people showed up in Palm Beach County and were intimidating vote counters. So I think the Democrats are just trying to take whatever step they can legally to prevent these things from being disrupted, and Trump's trying to do the opposite. Pennsylvania did just say, the Secretary of State in Pennsylvania did just say that she believed an overwhelming majority of votes would be reported tonight for Pennsylvania. Whether that's enough, the Biden campaign's got to decide what's enough that we feel comfortable, that it's responsible, and that it's legitimate for us to stand up and say that he has won. You don't want to, I think they want to be pretty cautious about that because they're trying to I think they're trying to project to the country and to the world that the American democracy system is working, it has integrity, it can be relied upon. But you want to do it as soon as you can to try to limit, the uncertainty.
So is the sense in the Biden campaign that they'll know enough in Pennsylvania by the end of the day to be able to feel confident and that they can say they've gotten to what they need to get to? I mean, this isn't going to end today, is it, Jen?
There's a chance it could, but that they don't think it will. They think that most likely, unfortunately, that they will have to wait until tomorrow. But there's a chance that they could do it. They could feel that it was responsible to do it tonight. And you want to do it as soon as possible.
What kind of lawyers is the Biden campaign assembling to deal with all these various state lawsuits that we're going to see filed by the Trump administration?
Hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of lawyers. Hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of lawyers. I know Bob Bauer is the head lawyer for the Biden campaign. He was White House counsel for President Obama, one of the most experienced election lawyers, on the planet, certainly in the United States. There's another Democratic lawyer by the name of Mark Elias, who, if folks are interested in tracking this, actually, his website is really good. It's called democracydocket.org. And they have been for months because they've been doing lawsuits for months on voting rights, but they track state by state all all of the action that's happening. So both on the inside of the Biden campaign, which is Bauer, and then on the outside of people like Mark Elias, they've been organizing lawyers for months and months and months, particularly during COVID when we understood there'd be a lot of mail-in ballots. And what I was surprised at, Katie, is I assumed the same thing would be happening on the Republican side, but the big Republican lawyers with a lot of expertise on election law, people like Ben Ginsburg, who was very instrumental in 2000, he
retired. Yeah.
Well, it's not that they're retired, and they're not just retired. They don't support Trump. They won't help him.
For my podcast, Jen, and he, he was very upset about these accusations of voter fraud, which he said just were not legitimate.
Yeah.
And he was the one that was the key guy in Bush v. Gore in 2000. And so who are the Republicans relying on? Do they have some heavy hitters on their side?
They don't. I mean, I don't want to malign them, but they don't have, it is certainly factual to say that the Trump campaign does not have the best Republican election law lawyers helping them. They do not, the best of their best does not support Trump and don't want to be a part of frivolous lawsuits. I'm here with the circus. That's what I'm here for on Showtime. That's why I've been standing in the parking lot, the Chase Center, for 3 days. My credential says election night, election week, perhaps. But we interviewed one of their head lawyers a few weeks ago, and it didn't seem as sophisticated as an operation as I had been expecting. And now I understand why. Like, right, their best lawyers aren't on the field. So, which isn't to say that they can't still be effective, but thus far their legal effort, and that's something Bob Bauer, the Biden campaign lawyer, spoke to on their press call this morning. He was, went through to, picked out some of the more egregious lawsuits that the Trump campaign had filed in the Biden's view to show that they weren't serious. It's not been as effective as I thought it might.
It's interesting. I rewatched Recount the other day, and James Baker, I don't think you can overemphasize the role he played in the 2000 election versus Warren Christopher, who was basically trying to say the world is watching our democracy, and Jim Baker was really doing some political street fighting. Is there a Jim Baker time at all for President Trump, or is he AWOL or is she AWOL?
For Trump, I don't think that there's not someone, first of all, there's just really, Jim Baker is sort of without peer in the Republican Party anyway, to start with, but there's not anyone, there's no one of that sort of experience level that's part of the Trump world. So they don't have, it's their normal gang, right? It's like Rudy Giuliani and the children and Jared Kushner. That they had one of my colleagues, Alice Wagner, is in Philadelphia, and she covered a press conference that they did with Giuliani and the children. That just didn't seem, they had like zero grounding. I'm not being partisan. They just had like zero grounding in fact, what they were attempting to argue. But interestingly, on the Biden side, one of his close advisors is Ron Klain, who was on the Gore side of Recount, right? He was the Kevin Spacey character played by Kevin Spacey as Ron Klain. And so Ron lived through that, learned a lot from it. So they have people advising Biden that have a lot of experience in this.
Let me ask you, Jen, I'm going to let you go because I know you're probably exhausted and doing a million things, but do you expect, if things go the way the Biden campaign hopes, what are their thoughts about normal transfer of power, about Donald Trump conceding, making sort of the pro forma call that is made to are they gaming that out and expecting what will happen?
I think that they have definitely gamed it out. This is something that Bob Bauer has been working on for months, both what election night and the aftermath might look like, and then the transition and the transfer to power. They're very confident, and I have to say, thus far, I mean, it's day 3. We still don't have a result, but we didn't necessarily expect that. They're very confident in their ability to shut down frivolous lawsuits and have there be a peaceful transition to power. It would be nice if Donald Trump stood up, when and if the moment was appropriate, called Joe Biden, conceded, stood up and said, Joe Biden is going to be our next president. But there's nothing in the actual transition to power that requires that, right? At noon on January 20th, 2021, Donald Trump will stop having the powers of the presidency. Whether he's sitting in the White House and refuses to leave the driveway or not. That's just, so I think that, part of the Biden campaign strategy is let's just proceed with a lot of confidence that this will work and that their attitude is going to matter here some. And whatever Trump says is not going to matter. And if he tries to do something that's illegal, that the other branches of government or even within the executive branch of government, it won't be permitted. So they have a lot of confidence about it. They may be showing more confidence than they actually feel, but they want to show confidence.
Well, it's been interesting to listen to people like Mitch McConnell, Rick Santorum, Chris Christie, really for the first time speak out about the behavior or the rhetoric that's coming out of the White House. It seemed like that was a bridge too far to start claiming victory that early morning, the day after the election, and they all spoke out against them. So who knows what will happen? But just to run down these states that are still unclear, let's just talk really. Tell me, so when will we know about Nevada, Jen?
So Nevada could be later today, but Nevada on its own won't be enough to settle anything.
Okay. Right. How about Arizona?
Arizona said that it is possible that they are late tonight. Arizona and Nevada together would be enough to put Biden over 270. Actually, Arizona and Nevada are 270. That is it's exactly at 270 for Biden.
What about Georgia?
Yeah. It seems like Georgia will take until at least Friday. And Georgia, the Biden campaign feels less confident that they will win Georgia. Georgia is 16 electoral votes. A combination of Georgia and Nevada is enough. Georgia and Arizona and Nevada is enough. But I think one calculation the Biden campaign has to decide is, if Pennsylvania is outstanding and Arizona and Nevada come in, that gets them right to 270. Do they go ahead and declare victory and come out tonight and say that? Or do they wait for Pennsylvania just because it's more, that just gives you a level of confidence that it's going to stick? And they believe that in the end, they're going to win Pennsylvania by a lot. And by that, I mean more than 100,000 votes, which puts you outside of the scope of when a recount is allowed. Plus, it's just it's just a definitive win. I think they might want that definitive Pennsylvania win to be we are clearly the winner. Trump has zero claim to say there's a path. I mean, in order for Trump to win, Trump has to win North Carolina, which is still outstanding. North Carolina is not going to have their results in until November 12th. They have to win North Carolina, Georgia, Arizona, Nevada, and Pennsylvania. Trump has to win all of those states. It's highly unlikely that will happen.
Well, it's going to be a nail biter.
Continuing to be a nail biter.
Thanks. Oh, I wanted to mention Arizona, Georgia, and Nevada voters are being encouraged, Jen, and it's important for us to tell anyone watching to check their ballot status and make sure their ballots were not rejected for whatever reason. Arizona by next Tuesday?
Yep.
Georgia by tomorrow, and Nevada by next Thursday. So it's important that people can kind of keep track of their ballots and make sure they weren't rejected for, stupid reasons, right?
Yeah. 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 Yes. I mean, it does. And it happens. This happens a lot. And the history is disproportionately affects voters of color. So it's really important that people, yeah. And there's now the means to do it, to track these ballots. It's
good. Mail-in ballots have become sort of the new mass, right?
Totally.
Yes. It's true. When
true.
You look at people who I think it tracks with the people who believe COVID is a serious problem. Although, some people who believe that, like my husband, voted in person. But in general, I think that's why we're seeing so many of these mail-in ballots favor Joe Biden, because I think they reflect the political divide in many ways about the pandemic.
They certainly do in Pennsylvania. And this is why the Biden campaign is so confident. In Pennsylvania, the mail-in ballots are coming in. Over 70% of them are for Biden. That's like, and originally Biden needed them to be 64% in his favor in order for him to overtake Trump's lead. And obviously that number keeps getting smaller as more votes come in. But when you're tracking 70% of the mail-in ballots are Democratic, it's hard to not reach the conclusion you just did, which is those are the ones that are voted by mail.
Yeah. All right, Jen. People are asking how to. Well, wait.
How to check.
How to check your ballot. So you can Google state ballot check.
Your state's ballot. So Google
your state's ballot.
Check. Status check.
Status check. And Google will send you to your state's tracking site. So I think so. In other words,
like Google Nevada state ballot check. And
so if you Google like Nevada state ballot check, Google will send you, and then basically you can check what's going on and make sure that your vote is counted. Wow, it's been a wild ride.
Oh my God. No kidding.
When is this episode of the circus, the aptly named circus, going to be airing, Jen?
It's Sunday night, and it's an hour-long special tonight this week. I think it's airing at 7:30 because it's hour-long, 7:30 or 8. And we have there's grilling happening here. As you can see, some of the press have set up barbecues, so and it's 67 degrees in Wilmington, so it's pretty great actually. It could be a lot worse here. We're fine.
It's pretty. And where is Joe Biden and Kamala Harris right now?
She's at our hotel. I won't say what it is, but she happens to stay in our same hotel. That he is. I think Joe Biden is actually at his home in Wilmington. That's the Westin over there. That's the and then see the Chase Center is attached to it. So the Biden staff are working out of the Westin and the Chase Center. Biden's at his home, and then Harris is here at a hotel in Wilmington. Yeah.
All right, awesome. Well, I'm going to be doing another update at 5 this afternoon with my friend Brian Goldsmith. But Jen, so fun talking to you. Thank you very much. Yeah. And I'll talk to you soon. I'm almost finished with my book, so I'm going to send it your way.
I'm so excited.
Anyway, all right. Thanks, Jen.
All right, good to see you. Take care. Thanks. Bye, Kitty.
Bye. If you guys like what you see, subscribe right here.